Earlier this year, 4 humans willingly strapped themselves into a spacecraft and launched themselves to the dark side of the moon. Artemis 2 officially ushered our generation into a brand new space age, and for most of us in class, I can imagine this was the first time we saw humans leave low Earth orbit, which is the gravitational pull Earth has on all things. But to truly understand the weight of this mission, we have to go back to the beginning, back to the groundwork. We have to understand the old space missions. Now, when most of us think of old space missions, you probably think of Apollo 11, when we first walked on the moon, or Apollo 13, the famous Dune mission that became a Hollywood movie with Tom Hanks. But when I think of old space missions, I think of December 1968, back to Apollo 8. Now, Apollo 8 wasn't just a dress rehearsal of how we were going to land on the moon. It was actually a huge historical pivot point and shifted how us humans here view our home planet. To understand why this mission meant so much, we have to understand how the United States was at the time. Now, I didn't know much about Apollo 8 until my father-in-law bought me the Apollo 8 book, written by Jeffrey Kluger. But in this book, Kluger describes the United States as a dark, war-torn, and deeply divided country. Now, we were neck and neck with Russia and the USSR at the time, and we needed a desperate last-minute gamble, and that's what NASA was for. They took 3 men, Commander Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders, strapped them to a rocket that had never had humans flown on it before, without even having a lunar lander on this rocket, and they were going to send them to the moon, bring them back, and if something went wrong, they were just going to be stranded. On Christmas Eve, 1968, they ended up reaching their mission on the dark side of the moon. As they came around, they looked out their windows, and what they saw was something they were not expecting. They were not ready to see this image out their window. Now, this image is called Earthrise. The image was taken by Bill Anders, one of the astronauts of the crew, by one of his many cameras that he had. He had to find his one color camera that he had. That way he could get the picture of our tiny blue marble out in the blackness void. For the first time in human history, we actually saw our planet not as a bunch of divided nations, but as one cohesive unit. Anders later said, "We came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing that we found was home." This photograph completely shifted how most humans viewed our planet and helped ignite the modern environmental movement. The connection between the now Artemis 2 and the Apollo 8 is actually a very close connection. When Artemis 2 was on their mission, 6 days in, they received an audio message that they didn't think they were going to get. They got an audio message from none other than Jim Lovell a few days before he had passed away. In this message, he gave them something to think about. He said he wanted them to understand what was going on. He said, "Welcome to my old neighborhood." He reminded them to enjoy the view and take in the weight of what they were doing, not only for the United States as a country, but for us as a planet, for Earth. He said, just like his commander Frank Borman did on their famous Christmas broadcast, he said, "Good luck and Godspeed from all of us here on the good Earth." Now, as we watch the Artemis program push the boundaries and go further into space, hopefully to send humans to Mars and beyond, we have to remember that we aren't just looking forward. We are walking the path cleared over half a century ago by 3 men in a tiny capsule who taught us that no matter how far we journey into the stars, the most beautiful thing we will ever see is home.